how can we break the chains of failure? But first of all, we need to really understand what failure is. And I'm sure that if you are here, you you really are curious about this topic because you are probably sensitive to this topic. And so maybe you felt that you were not enough, or that you are still not enough, or maybe uh, you are always a bit disappointed because you think that what you do is not good enough, or that you are not doing the right thing. And then maybe you sometimes you decide that it's uh, it's not worth it to even try or desire to try, because it's not gonna be you're not gonna be good at what you're doing. So the good news is it's that despite of what other people could say, it's not laziness. I've been working with so many clients that were depressed and they were judging themselves, and all the people around that were saying they are just lazy. I mean, it's just a problem of willing. They should decide that you want to do something and do it in a certain way, and go for that. And that's not the case. It's not so easy. So it's not about laziness. It's not about lack of talent or qualities, or yeah, it's not about anything of that. It's just about a very old wound that is there, and that is always affecting our life, always making feel not enough. And and we can also be very really worried about being seen, and we were not seen before, and we were not encouraged, and we always felt that we're not good enough since we were very little. So I'm talking to you about these problems in terms of schema therapy. I've been talking about schema therapy for all the previous events. So you now, if you watch all these events, you would be an expert actually of schema therapy. You could really understand yourself, better understand yourself, the others. You can really understand what your emotional needs are, and try to do specific steps. Every event, I give so many strategies, techniques, tips to really try to work on yourself, on your issues. And I'm going to do the same today. But so the fail, we're going to talk about the problem of feeling not enough. That in terms of schema therapy, it's the failure schema. So it's the very deep feeling and belief. So before the belief, there's a very strong feeling, because these schemas are very early created in life when there are not even words. So we are, as children, we are really leaving everything on our body without being able even to talk at that moment, because we are very little. And so everything at that moment is a feeling. So we start to feel that we are not capable, that we will never succeed, and that others are always better than us, that we don't have the skills to achieve the goals that the others are achieving. This is something really deep into us. So, and obviously, when a schema is created, since we are very little and we feel and think in this way, we really shape how we move through life. So how we work, we love, we dream, and also how we breathe when someone believes in us. So do you remember last time that in which you felt that someone was believing in you? how good was that? We really feel that life has a different color, a different sound, a different taste, a different smell. It's so good. But when this is not there, and usually when we have a failure schema, this is really affecting all our reality. It's so difficult for us to feel that. So, how this schema was born, really? When we are children, we were children, we born as infants, we were there, we already had emotional needs. And if those needs were not really recognized, accepted, welcomed, and met adequately, then we, depending on what kind of experiences that we were doing, we could have developed a failure schema or other schemas. So, uh, as I wrote here, children are not born afraid to fail, but they are born with requests. They are asking for something to their reality. And depending on what is the answer to what they are asking, then their brain and also their personality will start to develop in a specific way. So if they lived something like in the everyday life, repeating the time which they were not really seen, they were not encouraged, they were not feeling safe, they were not validated, then they could have developed a failure schema. So there are specific kind of experiences that one person could have lived in order to develop a failure schema. One experience is living in a critical home. It doesn't have to be for each one the same thing. It doesn't have to be that if you recognize that you have a failure schema, that you had a critical family. It doesn't have to be there because there are several reasons why one person can develop a failure schema. But one reason could be critical, having being related to critical others, significant others. So some of us grew up in homes where mistakes were punished or ridiculed. So I had so many clients telling me that when they were coming home and they had a B instead of an A, they were really criticized. Even if they had an A, they were saying, "Why didn't you take more?" or "Why just an A?" Um, or the parents were in silence when they were saying certain things. So usually there's this idea of conditional love. Conditional love that uh, it means that you are worthy and so you are loved only when you do the things in a certain way. So the love when they were children, in order to develop a failure schema, usually the love is a conditional love. So only if you try to achieve perfection and you be perfect, then you can receive that. And we know that actually we have different kind of schemas. So the failure schema is actually a schema that a child could develop as an attempt of giving an explanation of what is really happening in the environment. Let's say that mom is praising me and giving me love, and then she stops doing that, and actually she's angry, or she's cold and distant. As a little child, I need to understand why this is happening, because the absence of what was good before, it's so painful. I can feel that in my body when I'm a child. I can feel that as a trauma, and then at that moment, I need to give an explanation. This is something that usually um, could happen without anyone saying that, but could happen because the others say that explicitly. So it's because of you, because you are not doing well. So the child is not able to say, "Mom has some problems. Mom has some issues, and she's not able to love me unconditionally." But the child says it's because of me, because I'm not good enough. If I take an A, mom will give me love. And that is a way for the child to really try to survive. Because when you are very little, you need to be in the relationship. Relationship means that you will survive. But if the relationship is not there anymore because I don't feel the love, I'm not feeling protected, loved, praised, supported, then it's dangerous. So giving the responsibility to me is a way to say, if I change my behavior and if I do something good enough, then mom will love me. Then mom will give me the hug that I need, or those words that make me feel so good. So this is something really, really important, and the child is not able to say that the others are have the responsibility for what he's experiencing. And it's a way to say, if I change my behavior, then everything will change. But this doesn't really happen because it's not actually their fault. It's the environment around that is behaving in a different way. But as I was saying, the failure could be like a secondary schema that is formed because of an attempt of giving an explanation to what is happening to me. So sometimes it's not that something is happening to me, but it's something that is happening to my brother or to someone else. So could be something negative. So I remember many clients telling me my sister was the best sheep, the black sheep in the house. She always wanted to do what she wanted to do, and my father was mad, and or my brother was the black sheep, or he was the rebel one, and he and my parents were getting crazy. So they were giving certain kind of evaluation or explanation of the brother's behavior or the sister's behavior as is not good enough, or the child perceive that. I don't want to blame parents. I don't want to say that parents are bad or evil. It's just that there's a kind of a chain, intergenerational chain. We have been talking about this in the previous event, in which we are all perpetrators and victims, and we are all part of this chain, intergenerational chain. And actually, the research shows that traumas are usually passed through generations. This is something really, really important. So, in a certain way, I remember when I was a child, I learned very quickly, and in a very painful way, that others were always better than me. There was also my classmate. He was always smarter than me, always faster than me in thinking, in acting, and I was always the one losing, and he was always the one winning. And even my father was always saying, "Oh, did you see he ran 14 kilometers when I was stopping after 2 kilometers because we were running? I was six." Imagine my and this little boy was running 14 kilometers. So he was so proud of him, and I was feeling that I was always down. I'm giving you an example of myself, but I could give you thousands of examples of my clients. And I guess that some of the things that I'm saying could resonate in you, because these are usually the things that people with a failure schema can have inside. So there's always this comparison trap, and then it's not just about parents or grandparents or uncles or teachers or coaches or classmates or teammates that could judge us, or that could really try to push us in a position in which we are less and they are more. So we really learn this way of thinking and also viewing reality. So the reality is always seen in these terms. So there's a rank. Where am I? I'm failing. I'm failing. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. Families could be different. Could be not really critical families, but could be silent families. So we could grow up in a family that is always silent. They don't say one word. They don't say uh, they don't criticize, but they're not even encourage children. So there's a kind of form of neglect. So neglect could be also something that could really contribute very highly to create a failure schema. So a child could really feel my presence doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any difference. So yeah, um, if usually, how can we really understand what our value is when we are children? Because our parents or the significant others around us really mirror to us our value. When they love us, when they really praise us, when they are happy of us. I remember, I remember the eyes with this light of joy and happiness when I was achieving something important. And then these serious eyes and when I was not achieving something important. And I could tell you about, I already talked about that, the little child that at 3 years old is, is really, he feels the attention and the love of his grandfather because at 3 years old he starts to read ancient Greek. So it's not just something regular, it's something special that you need to do many times. So if you don't do that, you are a ghost. You are not seen. You so sometimes it could be something like that. It doesn't have always to be like that, because I said to you it could be even the silence. So a child could really start to perceive and then think, I fail before I even begin. It's not, I don't even have to put effort because I already know that I will fail. That is something really bad. But then there is also another aspect that we, as a parents, we don't think too much about that, and especially if we lived in a reality in which we were neglected, we feel, oh, we were feeling emotional deprivation and things like this. We as parents, we have children, and then we don't really think. I mean, we think we don't want our children to feel the same. So we start to do more and more and more. We try to be always present. We try to really take care of everything. Don't really give responsibilities to the children. Take the responsibilities on us, and then it's a way to love them. It's a way to support them. But when it's too much, then the child doesn't have the possibility to really go into everyday life, try things, make mistakes, and learn that okay, we can make mistakes. Doesn't matter. We are good even if we make mistakes, and then they can learn. They can do it by themselves. They can fail, but then they can try harder and then they can achieve things. So they really start to tolerate the frustrations of regular life. But then when there's an overprotective parent, this is not possible. So they could really start to feel others are more than me. They have skills more than me. They have qualities more than me. It could be even for their health. I mean, they could even say